Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin O'Shaughnessy, and I'm a senior attorney with Murray Osorio. Today, I will be talking about 601A waivers. So, this this particular video is mostly going to pertain to people who've been sponsored by their spouses. And so, a question that I often get is, can I get a green card if I entered the United States unlawfully? So, if I entered without inspection, like, I came through the border without talking to a border guard, so, like, illegally, okay? So generally speaking, to get a green card in the United States, you need to have a lawful entry. So you need to have come through the border on a visa, or you need to have been, paroled in by a border guard. And so if you've entered without inspection, for example, through the southern border, then this creates a ground of inadmissibility. So it makes it more complicated for you to get your green card, but it does not make it impossible. So today we're going to talk about one way that you can make that happen. The specific scenario that I'm going to mostly be focusing on today is someone who is married to a US citizen, or a lawful permanent resident, or who has been sponsored by one, and they have an approved I-130. So let's take the example of a couple, and partner A is a US citizen, and partner B entered the United States without inspection through the southern border. Okay, so partner B is not eligible to get her green card in the United States. So partner A can still sponsor partner B, file the I-130 for her, and prove that they're in a real bona fide marriage. But then there's no pathway within the United States for partner B to get her green card. So this is where the 601A waiver can be a really, really useful tool for your family. So to be able to qualify for this waiver, you have to meet certain criteria. And that criteria includes that you have to have a qualifying relative. So you have to either have a spouse or a parent who's a United States citizen or a permanent resident. You will need to also be able to show that that qualifying relative will experience extreme hardship if you get deported. And then if you meet those criteria, you can probably file the 601A. Keep in mind that this assumes that you don't have other grounds of inadmissibilities. So if you have a complex, for example, if you have a complex criminal record, you might need a different type of waiver. So this is only waiving the ground of unlawful presence in the United States. Okay. So if this does turn out to be the waiver for you, then you will need to show that that you have a relationship to your qualifying relative, so that this person is your parent or your spouse. So marriage certificate or birth certificate with your parent's name on it, for example. You also need to show proof that that relative is a United States citizen or a permanent resident. You'll also show the proof that that person will experience extreme hardship if you ended up getting deported, if your waiver wasn't granted. So you can, I'm going to do a separate video on what constitutes hardship in various immigration contexts. But generally speaking, think about it like, how would the finances of the US citizen or permanent resident be affected? How would you leaving make life harder for them financially? How would it make it harder for them emotionally, psychologically, physically? Like maybe if it's a US citizen parent, you take your dad to his doctor's appointments every week or something like that. Those are just a couple of examples. And then you also want to show that you deserve discretion, positive discretion. So you want to show that USCIS should grant you this waiver because you're a good person, that you don't have a criminal record, that you have never done anything illegal, that you are, I don't know, a good mom or a good dad, or that you work hard at your job, you pay your taxes, things like that. So as I mentioned previously, you can apply for this once you have the approved immigrant petition. So once, let's say the I-130 is approved and your case has been transferred to the National Visa Center and you've paid your visa fee, then you can file this waiver. So the really, really nice thing about this type of waiver is that unlike other types of waivers, the non-citizen, the intending immigrant, can actually wait in the United States for this waiver to be processed. And this is a really good thing because, like so many other USCIS forms, this one currently has a processing time of 43.5 months, which is a little bit over 3.5 years. So it will take a very long time, but then the bonus is that your loved one stays in the United States with you. And then finally, how do you actually translate that into getting permanent residence? So after your 43.5 months, ideally, USCIS approves your waiver. And then once the waiver is approved, you will have the opportunity to schedule a consular interview. So you will have to leave the United States, hopefully for just a short period of time of a few weeks, attend your consular interview, do some other administrative steps like probably get a medical exam, for example, and then you can return to the United States as a permanent resident. So hopefully that has shed a little bit of light on the 601A process. This is not the only way that this can work. For example, if you were married to a U.S. citizen, but that person was abusive, and so you can't file the waiver, you might also be able to file a different type of application that would waive that ground of inadmissibility. Anyways, that's all for today. Later on, we will do some videos about showing extreme hardship. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and I will do my best.